Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch Track Podcast, presented by the Dude and Grim Show and co-produced by Mr. IVEST. I am the Dude.
And I am Grim, and we are going to talk today about The Pink Moon by Mr. Nick Drake. Got my pink cocktail in honor of it. Take on the
drink
classic called the Clover Club. Ooh, I like the X-ray or the negative image in there.
Yeah, pretty cool. Well, so the thing is initially they did a photo shoot for him to kind of be on the cover, and for anyone who's followed him, we'll get into sort of the depressive dark side a little bit, but let's just say they didn't think that he wasn't looking great at the time, and that would really help with sales. So they kind of worked up this other Dali-esque sort of cover.
Yeah. Now, cool. Wasn't this the first one of his albums that was released at the time in the United States?
Yeah, in North America.
So,
yeah. So this is his third and final album. His previous two albums, the first one, 5 Leaves Left, second one was Brighter Later. They did, in North America, they did sort of like a compilation of the two albums, and that was released.
You could pull together a pretty sweet best of out of those two.
I'll tell you what, as much as I do love Pink Moon, I think 5 Leaves Left I might actually like better than Pink Moon.
There's a time where maybe I would have said otherwise, but I don't disagree with you, dude. I don't.
Yeah, because I feel like all three albums, if you listen to them, and again, for maybe not everyone out there is familiar with Nick Drake, Grim, I would say if people are fans of like Iron and Wine, Elliott Smith, like Beck's Sea Change album,
definitely hear a lot of his influence in Iron and Wine as I listen to this.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, for
definitely.
Sure. Now I will say, this had a very notably more stripped down, sound than his other stuff. Not
orchestration.
Yeah, I mean, there was, aside from like a piano overdub, I don't think there is any other instrument present in the album. And the question is going to be, coming in at a length of 28 minutes and 22 seconds, is the Scratch Track episode about the album Pink Moon going to be longer than the album itself? If you've made it this far, tell us if you think it will. I guess you could probably see the ticker, but at that time, maybe go ahead and
like, subscribe, and comment below. Start taking bets.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. You're right. It is very, very different. You know, his first album came out. I think all three albums are very different. First album is a little more upbeat. It is heavily based acoustically.
Yeah.
But it's not as stripped down as this one. Then the second one, Brighter Later, they really tried to, and I think they probably talked him into it a little bit. They brought in a lot of brass, and there's a lot of extra musicians kind of try to amp it up.
Oh, and there's one song on there that almost sounds like it could have been a 70s game show theme. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I can't remember the name of that track, but.
Oh, man, I should. Yeah, it's, what is it? Oh, man. Which one is it?
It's not Parasite, because that's on Pink Moon.
It's definitely not. Could be Hazy Jane 1.
I think it is too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a much bigger fan of Hazy Jane 2, but so all three of these albums again are very different, and none of them were commercially successful,
which is really too bad. I mean, because I listen to his music, and I mean, there's something really special about him and honestly, from the perspective of someone who also not commercially successful, but like who I've written many songs on the guitar.
Ahead of your time, man.
I just don't like the way that he plays. He just has a different delivery about it, and I think his playing is very rhythmic, and it's very it's complex, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, not that there's any sort of you're going to rank him in any ways or compare him to like Jimmy Page or something, but just as a guitar player, it is like a very unique and
I think quite
style.
Good, honestly, because to be able to play like that, which I mean, sure, I given practice, it's like people kind of operate on their own like rhythms in life, like these circadian sort of rhythms. And it's like, I realize that when I make songs, I probably have a window of like 10 to 20 beats per minute, like difference, because that's just the natural way that things come out of me. And I feel like he definitely has that too, in terms of, he doesn't have like these super fast songs but the way he plays the lower strings off the top. I mean, he makes it a lot more interesting than just somebody strumming a chord. Right.
Yeah. And I know you're a huge fan of like Dave Matthews. But
I thought you were going to say Lee Roth for sure. And I was like, hells yes, son. DLR for life.
But that's the thing. Like when you listen to someone like Dave Matthews play, he's more of the strumming, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's just kind of his style.
It's Tim who added the rhythm. That's why when Dave and Tim played, it was, Luther College was like life changing for that very reason.
Luther, Grim, blue or yellow. Which one?
I wish I knew.
They're both so good.
I'd actually have to listen to the whole album to tell you.
Yeah, you would. Anyways, back to Mr. Nick Drake. So yeah, his first two albums, definitely they were not commercially successful, and it's been noted and documented. I mean, for those of you who don't know, spoiler alert, he passed away when he was 26 years old. That's just over 2 years after this album.
Dude, he didn't even make the 27 club, son.
7 club.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. And so, first two albums were not great. And part of the reason, I know, Grim, you were saying like, he's, this stuff is great and we love it. But he, with his personality, he was very shy. He was very introverted.
He wouldn't play live.
He wouldn't play live and promote. I have a documentary called Nick Drake in Review. It's a really nice, like 90-minute documentary. Talks about people who, who worked with him, who went to school with him and kind of grew up with him and whatnot. And then it has other people who have studied his music and everything, and they'll play some of his songs. It's very cool. Like I like it a lot.
Now there's also a shorter documentary by the gentleman who does the vinyl review show on YouTube, and he does a very nice condensed version of kind of like a shorter documentary. I watched that and I thought he did a really good job with that.
Sweet. Yeah, I like his stuff. He's got good production value too.
And his set is just great.
Nick, it's badass. Yeah. It is. The thing with Nick Drake is, he wouldn't really play live. He played a few shows, but it wasn't, he's playing in these halls and he'll play a song and people would listen to it and everything, but he didn't interact with the audience, and it would take him apparently a really long time to tune in between tracks. So there was kind of like these long sort of lulls.
That actually makes a lot of sense, because for some of his songs, I was really wondering, I was kind of
weird tunings, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking, because I'm like, like when you hear most things, like it's not like I can just hear anything and think to myself, oh, I know exactly what they're doing and how to play that. Some things you can hear what key it's in, and it's like muscle memory in your brain. You just know what that sound is like. But there's some of the things that he did, like when you listen to some like Led Zeppelin stuff that Jimmy Page is doing on his own, and you're like, that cannot be in standard tuning. Just because like I know where the strings are and how they sound, and like I can't envision how I could get that with any sort of fingering that makes sense to have any
how
dexterity.
you get from there to there, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, me not being any sort of musician, like it's like Mr. and Mrs. Zanderhoff. Like, I don't work in the business, but
I watch a lot. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
But I watch a lot of it.
Exactly.
And may I say,
I've heard,
babe.
I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard enough music to know that when I hear this, it's not
different.
Sort of standard in a lot of levels. And now maybe this album, and maybe I don't know if you know this off the top of your head or not, maybe he goes a little farther in this album than he did in previous albums.
In what way? Like different tunings?
Just as far as tuning and different things that he's kind of
maybe
doing
with some of the
regards.
songs. I mean, if you're gonna take a track like Horn, that's pretty much like 2 strings. So I mean, even if he did have it, if he had an alternate tuning for Horn, that's actually kind of funny in a way, because just capo the bottom note and like for the 2 notes on the upper one, you're making it come out my nose. Oh, dude. Shit.
So it should be noted that Horn is definitely a stripped down version of an already stripped down album.
You know how like when you listen to the album, right, and you hear the songs, and then you listen to the demos, and the demos are like stripped out versions. What does the demo of Horn sound like, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear the Horn demos so bad.
I'm sure maybe it's like 1 chord.
Yeah. It's just the bottom note. He was like, I haven't even really figured out what I'm going to do with that top string yet.
I don't know where I want to take it from here. Yeah.
Oh, yep. So that happened.
Yeah. I don't know. There might need to be some editing that goes on.
No, I don't think so. I think that's
oh my God,
that's real life.
But
aside from that, one thing that was interesting is I guess a whole album was recorded in like a 2-night session. Dude, Horn taking up probably like 4 hours of recording time. But so they record the album in a 2-night session. And then did you read the story about how he took it in like to the island offices? Like he took in the master tapes and he talked to somebody, some exec or whatever upstairs, got a little weirded out. And then as he was walking out, he just like left him on the front counter.
Here you go.
That's crazy, because to me, I would be so protective over that. I would be, because you know how I also read that when they found those tapes, which like the secretary called the gentleman upstairs or whatever and said that Nick had left these master tapes. And so they immediately took that version and cut it to like a 7.5 IPS version just to have another one. And I thought to myself, if I was him, damn, I would at least want a reel to reel of that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, that is a cool story, kind of how he did that. I mean, and again, we're certainly not mental health experts, but it has been reported that, he did suffer a lot from depression and stuff. It was weird though. He didn't necessarily want to take meds, but he was taking meds. But he didn't want to take meds because he was smoking weed so much, and he didn't
want it to interact with his strict drug regimen, which helps keep the mind limber.
Exactly. But yeah, I definitely heard that he had done that. It would be interesting. Like, I mean, I wonder. I mean, who knows what he was, I guess, technically suffering from. But I'm sure, he could have had, I don't know, Asperger's or something. I mean, it seems like he was kind of like, seems like he was a little off and definitely socially awkward, very introverted.
Yeah.
But it sounded like he had friends, and I think he even had a girlfriend and stuff. So, just seemed like a really interesting guy who produced some amazing work. And these are all 3 great albums, different albums.
Dude, and honestly, for some of the stuff that he writes lyrically, to think that like he died at 26. So he was probably writing some of that stuff between the ages of, I don't know, 20 and 23. Like, dude, that is some amazingly introspective music, like great lyrics. Dude, really impressive, man. Really impressive stuff. And I think it's great that at least in today's world that people have come to appreciate it, but it's also really sad that it fell on deaf ears at the time. Yeah.
Well, and so these are, he does have these 3 albums. Since then, they have sort of kind of uncovered other things that he had done. So if you do search, you can find some, alternate versions like of Horn. Actually, I don't think there's an alternate version of that.
Well, there's one with like a whole string section overdone.
With actual horns in it.
It's not guitar. It's the same song, but just done on horns.
Horns, But so, essentially he couldn't, he wanted to record the album. Well, I guess what happened was he got done with Brighter Later. He was kind of frustrated with the way things were going through a period. But then Chris Blackwell, who we kind of know because he was like the guy at
Bob Marley, dude,
from Bob Marley stuff, right? So he let Nick Drake go to like his villa in Spain just to like go chill out and stuff, because I think Chris noticed like, hey, you need some time off. He was just stressed from the rough tour schedule, I guess.
He's like, listen, I'm expecting a big hit when you're in Spain. I want you to write something. I'm not going to.
And you gave him Pink Moon.
I'm not going to tell you what it should be about. I think maybe Horn should be one of the titles. But
definitely. You should cover that song.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we've basically ruined the scratch on this, but it's amazing at the same time.
Dude, that's not my scratch.
I actually don't think it's mine either.
Yeah. So he came back from Spain anyways, and like he was kind of refreshed and ready to go. But then, and he had these songs, I guess, and he didn't want to record with, he wanted it stripped down. He didn't want any backing band. He didn't want anyone else there. He just wanted him and this guy, John Wood, who I think had worked as an engineer on his previous 2 albums.
And he produced it, right?
And he produced, Pink Moon, which I mean, dude,
let's face it. He was like, okay, here's a mic for the guitar, and here's one for your vocal. Tapes going, Horn, take 1.
No disrespect, but it wasn't like Dark Side. It's not like they had the whole band on knobs and it was like a live production of mixing. No,
he was like, hey, you know what? I think something's off with the panning on the.
But so they wanted, they kind of wanted the whole space to themselves, didn't want anyone around. So, dude, he went in those 2 nights. I mean, he recorded. I mean, you could see that you probably could record this album in 2 nights.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But
basically,
one thing I will say is that speaks, all kidding aside, that really speaks well of him as like how prepared he was to do these songs, because he just basically went and knocked them out. Maybe did 2 or 3 takes of each and was like, "Yep, that's good."
I'm sure.
So, anyways,
and I mean, they're at least on a handful of them, not Horn. But some of the playing is dude, it's pretty complex. I mean, I'm not a guitar player, but it's like, you might need to do a couple of takes. And now listening to this though, did you? I feel like I hear a couple of little flubs and
sure,
maybe.
Dude, I hear even a flub in my favorite Nick Drake song of all time, which is on this album.
Things Behind the Sun.
You're goddamn right. Number 1, all right. No question. That was the song that got me into Nick Drake. When I heard that, I was like, who is this guy? This is amazing. I want to hear more of it. And it's cool because it's just a guy and an acoustic guitar, nothing else.
Yeah.
And
dude, I don't know. To me, there's something just so romantic about that. that I just love, just like an acoustic guitar song. Even if it's I'll listen to, I love like unplugged shows and stuff like that, but I'll totally listen to, some rock songs and you're like, oh man, there's the acoustic version. You're like, oh, that's kind of badass.
Oh, dude. You should get into this, XM station called Coffee House. All it is acoustic covers of every song you've ever heard. And it's so funny. Like when we would go up to hang out with my in-laws, like, dude, Lisa and I would always talk about it because like they always have Coffee House on. And I'm like, that is a really awesome version of Roxanne acoustic by whoever that dude is. But like, I want to listen to something with a little more meat.
Roxanne. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. After a while, you're like, okay.
But I know what you mean. There's something that's very calming and nice about it.
Yes. All right, Graham, we better get into the tracks because we're kind of pushing like the length of the album here. So.
Yeah, sure.
And I got a few things to say. There was a little, I wouldn't say deep dive, but really breaking down some lyrics and
Okay, so. I'd like to hear it. So number one, title track, Pink Moon. Don't have any drink left to dedicate to it, my man.
So you could say that if Nick Drake did have a hit, this is it.
Well, because of that Volkswagen commercial.
The Volkswagen commercial. Yeah. But yeah. And like I really like it. It's a great song, and it's like the only song that has any instrumentation that is in addition to the acoustic guitar.
And it's interesting because the little piano line is just so incredibly simple. But what I like about it is when your base for everything is very simple and great. I'm not like knocking that. I'm just saying when your bass line for everything is simple, something as simple and as easy as that little descending piano line really adds a lot.
Oh, dude, it totally does. And it's kind of interesting. Like I was thinking about, I was like, well, was that his idea? Was that John Wood's? Because it's like, I don't know. It's like, we're going to do this whole album. It's going to all be acoustic, but in this one song, we're going to choose to put this one little piano piece in there. It just, I don't know, seemed a little.
I mean, off, Nick Drake's credited as playing it.
Okay, is he? All right, cool. Well, then we move on to Place to Be. And so the two songs, Things Beyond the Sun and Place to Be, those are the ones I remember you had on a mixed CD. At some point, those
probably
were the ones
kind of.
I think I first really knew.
I don't even know how. I can't remember. I felt like I heard about him through you. I can't even remember.
I do remember hearing about Nick Drake through Jake Perry. I remember hearing that, and because he had like at that time it was a greatest hits sort of CD, and I remember like. Probably finding the track listing online and then like making my own mix CD of that greatest hits. And then I liked that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start getting into the albums. Because I was like, I'm sure the albums are good too. And I picked up 5 Leaves Left and then I think probably went in order. But yeah, I mean, it was a good CD. But I guess Place to Be, he had actually had the song around for a while. Like it wasn't like this new one that he kind of, I don't know, came up with or whatever. But, I started, it's one of those situations where I feel like this happens with a lot of artists, unfortunately, who pass away, where it's like, oh, they pass away or they, whether it was suicide or he died accidentally, it was an accidental overdose, whatever it was, it could be any of those things. But then that's when people really go back and they start digging deep into the lyrics, right? And there's like, oh, there was so much meaning in this.
And you saw it coming all along, yeah.
Of course you did. But the thing with Place to Be, and I was just looking at the lyrics today, and it kind of, I don't know, I kind of took it as sort of a song sort of about seeing like, I don't know, either the writings on the wall or taking things for kind of what they are. Like there's almost getting past, like in your 20s, you have these like young idealistic sort of emotions and everything. You're going to change the world and there's huge impact and you're going to make it big and all this. But then I feel like this song, it's like kind of reality kind of set in. He's like, the first lines, when I was younger than before, I never saw the truth hanging from the door. And now that I'm older, I see it face to face. Yeah. And I just kind of took that as like, oh, you're having a realistic look at yourself sort of in the mirror a little bit.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Kind of where you are in life. So, then we got track number 3, Graham.
Road.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Do you ever see Black Sheep, dude, when the nitrous tanks came on the car?
Dude, I was never like, I don't know.
When they get pulled over for going 7 miles an hour because of the nitrous.
I can't remember that.
Yeah. And that's when he's like, said some of the cops said something about road, and he says, Road.
Road.
I like it.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Well, this song, he's got some nice finger picking when he's, playing the song. I also really like kind of the speed and the cadence at which he sings. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I can't, again, I don't know exactly what the song is about, but he's kind of like, what are the words? He's like, you can take it to the road that takes you to the stars now. I can take the road that'll see me through. It's almost like you're going on 2 separate paths, and you're going to somewhere really beautiful and great, and I'm just kind of going to kind of I'm going back on my path a little bit. So.
And I kind of feel like that whole bit, that whole idea sentiment kind of goes with which will too, because it's like which
she's got to make a choice.
Yeah, does he say which will you come for? Is that what he says?
Yes, I think so. But which will is interesting because it's like he's asking so many questions, kind of like along the way.
Yeah.
And he says like, which will you take now if you won't take me?
Yes.
Almost like that's making a choice between whatever him and someone else, or
him and some other. Yeah, sure. Dude. Yeah, I know. Now's the moment.
Are we moving along? Are we going
in
there?
a way? I'm actually, dude. What's the right now? Okay, I'm actually gonna blow the overtime whistle right now for no other reason, just because we finally got to horn. No, it's not mine either. But like, I feel kind of like it's such a big moment that we got here. I just want to commemorate it. So that's what that was for.
Yeah. So I will say this, as much as we're making fun of it.
Well, it's probably overtime because it's our favorite track.
Exactly. I think it is. Dude, so it is an instrumental song.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to sound silly as all hell. In a strange way, I actually feel like it doesn't even need words.
No.
Dude, you listen to this song, dude, it sounds, I mean this in like, I don't know what kind of way, but
like a horn.
It sounds so lonely, man.
Yeah, it does.
Like so lonely.
It's that interview. Interview. It's the interval.
Yeah.
And I believe that interval is how would you say that? Like an augmented third.
Okay. So for the folks scoring at home, what does that mean?
It basically means that it has a sense of longing about it, and that's why I think it just feels like that when you hear it. To me, it's this sense of longing, that stretch, sure. and so that's why I think you would say it would feel lonely.
Yeah, it certainly does, and all kidding aside, like I don't know what lyrics you'd put on it or that would add to it. I agree. So let's just move into your favorite track, and I believe probably my favorite track on the album.
My favorite Nick Drake song, period.
Things Behind the Sun. Yeah, it's so good.
One thing that's interesting is the song starts out in a minor key, but it's interesting because he doesn't change what the root is. but he goes major in the other parts, and so it's almost like there's like hopeful parts of it.
Dude, it is interesting, and I feel like those hopeful parts they come out a little more towards the end. Mm-hmm. When I don't know,
it starts out in the minor key, and it's very subdued. And,
but there's those transitions he kind of makes almost in the last half of the song, where it does become a little more upbeat and hopeful. It's pretty cool. It's just such a small little thing, but I really like it.
I don't even know what else I can say about the song, but it is fantastic, just great.
And I don't know exactly what I would say the song is about, but maybe it's about just. Well, he says the words, "Look around, you'll find the ground is not so far from where you are, but don't be too wise." So it's kind of like maybe you're sort of an elevated position, but don't get too comfortable up there because you can come down to earth real quick.
It's like these hidden things in life that are not so obvious is how I guess the way I would.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that a lot.
So flip the record.
All right, well, we got to flip this.
After 14 minutes and
to know.
Yeah, I think this is the closest
KNOW
he's ever come to blues. You know?
So there's a song you should listen to called Been Smoking Too Long.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah, I guess that does kind of have a little bit of a that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Been Smoking Too Long is a real good one.
Mm-hmm. Got opium in my chimney.
Yep.
That's a great song. It's not on any of his like albums, but if people want to check it out, it's on one of the new unreleased super
Deluxe.
extended things.
A normal
crunked out
edition.
But so No's an interesting song because like it starts off and he's playing and he's humming most of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
it ends the same way.
There's very few words. He's like, you know that I love you. You know I don't care. You know that I see you. You know I'm not there. And I'm sure it made sense to him at the time. I mean, there's a lot of things you could probably infer about that, but it's very basic.
It is.
All right. Moving on now to Parasite.
One of my favorite songs is. I really like Parasite.
It's definitely a good one.
Same
but I don't
melodical construct as the descending line in Radiohead's Subterranean Homesick Alien, if you listen to it.
Mm-hmm. Which would have been on whatever our spin-off
songs of the same riff if the fans wouldn't have poo-pooed it.
Jeez. But so what this is sort of I don't know, what do you call it? Self-deprecating, where he's like calling himself a parasite. And then I don't know if it was weird because he's talking about, maybe he's saying there's like two sides to him too, because he's like lifting the mask from the local clown and feeling down like him. I don't know. Maybe he's the clown too. Yeah. And take a look, and you might see me in the dirt, for I am the parasite who hangs from your skirt. Like, just think about that.
Or it's written from the perspective of somebody else.
Or that.
Also a possibility.
Could go multiple ways.
Yeah.
Who's to say? 50-50 chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's either him or somebody else. So you do the math. Track number 3.
6.2%.
Free Ride. Yeah. Free Ride. This, for me, this is actually one of my favorite songs on the album, although not one of the more popular ones. Like, this is like, I don't think this is on any of his, like, well, they call like the greatest hits or compilations or whatever.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Yeah. The extended essentials.
I bet
the way he plays it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But the way he plays it, it does actually sound hopeful at times.
Yeah.
Which is Which is an interesting, because, you know, Elliott Smith, I feel like some of his stuff is like that too, where when you start like actually paying attention and listening to the lyrics, you're like, man, that's some deep, dark stuff right there. But the sound actually of the song itself,
I know,
sometimes has this more upbeat, positive feel. At least that's the emotion it, you know, evokes for me. So
I think Free Ride, somebody, not to be confused with the 70s hit Free Ride by, was it Free? I don't know. But anyways,
probably.
I think someone could do an awesome, like, hard rock cover of Free Ride. Like, just think about that. Like, what you could do with that if you really,
Free
you know what? Yep, got that one.
I think I could do that. Did you?
Oh, I'm going to,
I don't think that was really audible as much, but
I do.
See what you can do. You're gonna turn it into like a crazy beat. Yeah. Then we move on to Harvest Breed. Again, it's you could say it's a telling story. It was, you say, falling fast and falling free. You'll look to find a friend. Falling fast and falling free. This could just be the end. I mean, man, that, I don't know. It's kind of self-explanatory right there. I mean,
I know.
You know, I don't even. You know, the signs were there.
Yeah, sure.
I think it was definitely maybe a cry for help. And then the last song from the morning, dude. Again, this is one I really like a lot.
And it has a similar kind of cadence to some of the other ones, I think. But this to me does sound overwhelmingly not as dark, a little more positive. Musically. Musically.
Absolutely. But I really like one thing is kind of the imagery in his lyrics on this song. Where it's like, then the night she fell and the air was beautiful. Then the night she fell all around. Like, it's sort of, I do like the imagery he puts in a lot of his songs. And again, I know we talked about Iron and Wine earlier, but if you listen to, you know,
he has got some imagery.
He's got some imagery, and I'm sure there's, you know, some heavy influence here. So, big fan. Big stan. I
think. All right. Okay, so what's your favorite? I mean, I feel like we already kind of settled on Things Behind the Sun.
I mean, it's gotta be. It's so good, man. It's such a good song. Yeah, definitely.
And that's one of those ones where I think we were talking about before. Like, there is a little tiny flub somewhere in there.
Yeah, there's a couple of them too. There's one I wish I could think of. I should have put it in my notes. Where there's just some just little things, but I think he didn't. Not that he didn't care, but I don't know. I don't know what he did. His mindset was probably all over the place at that point. But, you know, it's like, I wonder if he was like, oh, I'm just going to put him down. What if he just did every song in one take? And was like, yeah, that's it.
That'd be awesome.
It would be.
Pretty good set of takes, really.
It would. So,
what's your scratch?
Is it time to scratch? My scratch. I'm going
You're
first.
Up.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to scratch the first track off of side 2.
Oh, yeah, really had me going there.
No, the song No. It just doesn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, it starts off and he hums and then he sings the words, you know that I love you, you know that I don't care. You know that I see you, you know I'm not there. And then he hums again. It's a short song. You know, I certainly wouldn't mind. I mean, let me just throw out a hypothetical for you, Grim. All right. Let's just say you scratch No. You finish side 1 with a really strong track like Horn.
Yep.
You flip the record. Side 2, you're starting with Things Behind the Sun. Like, tell me that wouldn't work for you.
It would.
Yeah.
Really would.
I just did that. I did.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
And it's funny because if you did that, you'd be at like, I don't know, 10 minutes on the side. But anyways, well, cue in the buzzer. That is also what I would have picked to scratch. Horn could have been thought of as an obvious one. I realize that, but you're right. There's something about it where it's okay. You know, it just I don't know. Like, well, I do know, and no kind of gets the no from me because it's. I think if he was going to do that with it, he could have just made it a little. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that we're choosing a song that literally has no words and is what Horn's like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I don't know, something like that.
123.
Yeah. I mean, and we're like, yeah, keep that one, but get rid of this one. I just
that says something.
I don't know. It does. It says something. I'm not sure exactly what
Sometimes
it says.
a minute and 23 is all you need with that interval.
All I need. Yep. Exactly. So yeah, dude.
So if you have any insight, we'd love to hear your choices too. But if you have any insights if there is any demo versions of Horn or any extended versions out there.
Extended, yes.
I would like to know about that.
The 15-minute version live at Red Rocks.
Yeah, because that was probably just an excerpt they took out of the full version because they were like, we're kind of worried at this point about like we still need a run out groove in the LP and you know.
Definitely. It's possible. It is possible, man. Well, friends.
Are we doing an overtime scratch or no?
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. What would be your one?
Fuck. Probably Horn.
I'd probably go Harvest Breed.
Harvest Breed. Yeah.
Damn it.
Harvest
Okay.
Breed.
Well, then we're back to Horn anyway. So that was a waste of time. But you know, we know where we're at.
And yeah, and hopefully we know there's not like a ton of probably episodes and things like this about Nick Drake. Hopefully this didn't ruin it for anyone.
Yeah, because he's an amazing, awesome artist. And it was sometimes you just get going on these weird tangents. You just can't help it, you know?
Yeah, not at all. So, let us know what your favorite track is. Is this your favorite Nick Drake album?
Like, subscribe, and comment below.
What other songs do you like of his? I mean, dude, it'd just be just more people need to know about him.
Yep,
it's like one of those artists.
I agree.
Where you're just like, man,
it's
just enough people
real shame.
They don't know. And not that it's this like secret underground thing, because I feel like enough do.
Sure.
But, man, he
just did not get the credit he deserved.
Sure.
Yeah, not at all.
Nope, definitely not. Ahead of his time. So, all right, I think that wraps it up. Pink Moon is officially scratched. Bye.
Time to go.
The Dude
Scratch a Track is produced by the Dude Grimm. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tims. Copyright 2021. The Dude and Grimm Show.